This video will demonstrate how to set your region and how to set up localization using the Ruckus mobile app. So when you install the mobile app for the first time and you log into your account, it will ask you to select the region. Now in my case, since I've already logged in, it brings me up to the dashboard. But if this was the first time you logged in, you would see something like select the region. I can find that by going to my settings, and here I see region. So if you logged in for the first time, you have two regions, United States and Europe. And this is because today there are two Ruckus Cloud hosting centers, one in the US and one in Europe. So if I was in Europe, I would just select that and hit select, and that is then going to connect me to the hosting center that's in Europe. As a note, if you're using the European region, all APs will need to have the worldwide SKU number. So for example, the R510 would be SKU number 901-510-WW00. In my case, I'm already in the US, so I'm just going to cancel this. And I'll go back to the main menu. So once you've set up the region, you would then want to localize your language preferences. So it's assumed that on your Android or your iOS device that you'll have the appropriate keyboard enabled for your local language, such as Spanish, French, German, and so forth. If you were going to change that on the Android, you could go to your settings, and the same would be the case for an iOS. So if I went to my settings and I hit language and input, and under language, this shows me the keyboards that I have enabled, and it says to add multiple languages below, so that if an app does not support your default language at the top of the list, the next supported language in the list will be used instead. So for our case, if we're moving from Germany to France or to England or whatever, and we want to switch our keyboard, we could do that. So I just wanted to show you that. So let's go back to the main menu. And what I want to demonstrate now is to set up an SSID with a captive portal using the localization of language. So to do that, I would tap on Add a Network. I'll give this a name of Spanish Art, and I'll just put in a description of Spanish. And as a note, if I had my Spanish keyboard enabled, I would be typing all this in Spanish. So I'm going to go down and select a captive portal, and I'll hit Next. And now the type of portal, select the way the users gain access to the network. So I'm going to do a self sign-in, and I'll hit Next. This will then tell me to allow sign-in using my SMS token, which is off. Facebook is on, Google is on, Twitter is on, LinkedIn is on. So we'll leave the defaults as they are. Redirect users to, I could select a redirect URL, but I'm going to keep that blank. So I'll press Next. This is the portal web page. So here's where we would set up the localization for our captive portal. So what is the display language? Well, I have English selected, but I can go through here and select up to 15 different languages. So I'm going to go down here and select Spanish, hit OK, and I'm going to turn on my logo, and I'm going to find a logo. So I'll tap on the camera. I'm going to upload this from the gallery, and I'll pick my paintbrushes. So that'll upload that logo. Then there'll be some welcome text. Now I'm typing this in English, but once again, depending upon what keyboard you had enabled, for example, if you had your Spanish keyboard enabled, this would be in Spanish. So I'm just going to say, welcome to the Awani Art Studio. So then I will go to my advertisement, and in this case, it's off, but I'm going to turn it on. So I will then select an image for my advertising. So I will once again upload from the gallery. I could take a picture, but I'll take it from the gallery, and I'll select an art photo. So that puts my art photo in there. And the marketing message is, buy one item, get the second one off at 50% off. So buy one Spanish item and get the second at 50% off is my marketing message. Once again, if I had my Spanish keyboard, I would be typing this in Spanish. Terms and conditions, I'm going to leave that blank, and I'm going to press Next. I have to activate this on a venue, so I'm going to select Awani Arts, and I'll press Next. And this is my summary page. The name of the SSID, the type, sign-in options, Facebook, Google, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Redirect, we don't have anything. I could go to Advanced Settings, and if I wanted to change the VLAN ID, which is what I would suggest, we can put a different VLAN in there. So we'll put in VLAN 2. Maximum number of devices, we'll select 5. User connection settings, allow the user to stay connected for, and we have the options here where we can go up by days, hours, or minutes. By default, it's days, and it gives us 1 day, so we'll just pick the default. So our grace period by default is 60 minutes, so once they've timed out, they have 60 minutes, so we'll keep that as the default. Load control, the maximum rate, we could adjust that. We could adjust the maximum clients. By default, that's 100. We'll just keep that there. We could enable client isolation, which is on by default, and then we have the other features. So I'll just take the default values here. So I'll click Save. Okay, we're all done with that. Now we are ready to create the SSID. I'm going to press Done. Please wait while creating the network, and this will take about 10 seconds or so until I get my message back. And after about 10 seconds or so, you'll get the message that the network was added successfully. So we'll press OK. And now if I go back and look at my networks, you'll see that Spanish Art is now up and running. And I can tap on that, and it'll give me information about that particular SSID. Now I don't have any traffic yet because I haven't attached any clients. So what I'm going to do now is put on my client hat and now attach the SSID, and you can see what the localized language will look like when I go to my self sign-in. So I'm going to go to Settings, and I'm going to select Spanish Art. That's the SSID that I just created. I'm going to press Connect, and now when I open up a browser, so you'll notice on the welcome page that the text is in English because we used an English keyboard. That would have been on Spanish, but you'll notice that on the Facebook, Twitter, Google, and LinkedIn, that language is now Spanish. So we've now localized to our native language, or the language that we want to use. So from that point on, I would just tap on my Google, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and I would then have access to the network.